Okay, welcome back, students. Now we were doing with chapter 1 bricks, beads, and bones. So we come to the next topic, that is problems of piecing together the past. Now, in this topic, we'll understand what are the problems the archaeologists, the historians facing with the Harappan civilization. First point, start from the third line. Material evidence allow archaeologists to better reconstruct Harappan life. Next point, this material could be pottery, tools, ornaments, household objects, etc. Next point, organic matter such as cloth, leather, wood, and reeds generally decompose, especially in tropical regions. Organic matter such as all these decompose with time. Next point, what survive are stone, burnt clay, or terracotta, metal, etc. So this is the material which is available for the archaeologists, historians to study and try to find out about the Harappan civilization. Next point, only broken or useless objects would have been thrown away. Other things would probably have been recycled. The material which we find is mostly the material which was useless to the Harappan people and which was thrown away. And if any material which was of their need, they would have recycled that material and used again and again. Valuable artifacts that are found intact are either lost in the past or hoarded and never retrieved. That is, anything that is valuable kept in hoards and it has never been recovered yet by the historians or the archaeologists. Now, how do we classify the finds? Come to the second line. Archaeologists classify their finds. Now, out here, archaeologists classify the finds into three parts. First, I will make you mark, then I will show you the notes in which this has been given in a better way. First way is material. Circle this material. Now, underline in materials such as stone, clay, metal, bone, ivory, etc. So this is the material which is left for the archaeologist to study. Second is terms of function. Circle this now. Archaeologists have to decide an artifact is a tool or an ornament or both or something meant for ritual use. So now when archaeologists find clay, metal, bones, anything, figure out that where was this material used, or was it used for something else, religious ritual or something else. Now coming to the next point, that is with in terms of functions. Second point, archaeologists also try to identify the function of an artifact by investigating the context in which it was found. Was it found in a house, in a drain, in a grave, in a kiln? So wherever the artifact has been found, depending on that, they try to make out what was the use of that artifact. Now coming to the third, that is indirect evidence. Circle this. Indirect evidence. Archaeologists take recourse to indirect evidence. For instance, come to next line. To find out about clothing, we have to depend on indirect evidence, including depictions in sculpture. So what is happening? This indirect evidence actually has been destroyed or decomposed with time. And now what we have to take evidences from on sculpture, on toys, on artifacts, on scripts of the Harappan civilization. So to understand, we have to read these indirect evidences. Archaeologists have to develop frames of references. So they have to make a reference to all these and then only come to a solution. Now to understand these points in a better way, I'll show you the notes. Classifying finds. Archaeologists classify finds in material, functions, and indirect evidences. So just to understand those 3 points, we need to understand this chart. Now coming back to the chapter, come to next page, problems of interpretation. Come to the third line. Early archaeologists thought that certain objects which seemed unusual or unfamiliar may have had religious significance. So, whatever unusual or unfamiliar artifacts are found, so historians and archaeologists try to say that these may have been used for religious significance, because still we don't have any idea about the religious practices of the Harappan people. Next point, these included terracotta figures of women like this, heavily jeweled, some with elaborate headdresses. You can see these jewelries, head elaborates. Next point, these were regarded as mother goddesses. Next point, rare stone statues of men in all in an almost standardized posture, seated with one hand on the knee, such as the priest king, was also similarly classified. So now different objects, seals which are finding with figures of human, the archaeologists try to convey that these may have been used for religious purposes. Next point, structures have been assigned ritual significance. These include the Great Bath and the fire altars found at Kalibanga and Lothal. So buildings such as Great Bath, which has been found at Mohenjo-daro, and fire altars found at Kalibanga and Lothal, so historians and archaeologists have assigned ritual significance to these buildings. Next point, attempts have been made to reconstruct religious beliefs practices by examining seals. Plant motifs indicate nature worship. So the plant motifs found on the seals indicate that Harappan people worship nature. Next point, animals, as the one-horned animal often called the unicorn depicted on seals, seems to be mythical composite creature. So some of the animals which have been shown on the figure actually really did not exist. So they may have had some mythological attraction to that figure. Next point, in some seals, a figure shown seated cross-legged in a yogic posture, sometimes surrounded by animals, has been regarded as depiction of Proto-Shiva. That is an early form of one of the major deities of Hinduism. So this figure, a yogi posture with crossed leg and seated and surrounded by various animals, this is trying to say that this is actually a Proto-Shiva image. That means it is trying to show that this image is actually of Shiva of earlier worship, and that is why the name has been given a Proto-Shiva. Now we come to the next point. Conical stone objects have been classified as lingas. So now what is happening? Conical stones have been found and they have been classified as lingas, which are worshipped with Shiva. Next point, many reconstructions of Harappan religion made on the assumption that later traditions provide parallel with earlier ones. Next point, this is because archaeologists often move from the known to the unknown, that is from the present to the past. Now what is happening, that historians always try to understand any civilization on the present contents. Whatever they have in the present, they try to relate that to the past. So that is how the religious practice of the Harappan people is assumed by the archaeologist. Next point, it becomes more speculative when we extend it to religious symbols. Speculative means something we are guessing without knowing. So whatever we have to guess on religious practices is only based on the symbols, various symbols such as this figure and these kind of figures which we have found on various seals and toys. Now coming to the next point, for instance, come to next line, the Rig Veda compiled circa 1500 to 1000 BC mentions a god named Rudra, which is a name used for Shiva in later Puranic tradition in the first millennium CE. However, unlike Shiva, Rudra is in the Rig Veda is neither depicted as Pashupati, lord of animals in general and cattle in particular, nor as yogi. So now what is happening, that after looking into this seal, historians have given the name Proto Shiva. But now what is happening, This has been given the name because in today's time we worship Shiva, but the problem is that the period between today's time and between the Harappan's time period, there was another period which is from 1500 to 1000 BCE, in which the Rig Veda was composed, and in that there is a god named as Rudra, and this is one of the names for the Lord Shiva. Shiva, as he is considered Lord of animals and cattle in particular, but in Rig Veda he is not considered a god of animals, nor is he considered a yogi. So now there is a problem to construct from knowing to the unknown, or that is moving from the present to the past, because now everything seems to be a bit confused in all this. Come to the next page. Circle this. What has been achieved after so many decades of archaeological work? So a question can be asked about these. So what have we found after so many decades of archaeological work which has been conducted? First point, we have a fairly good idea of the Harappan economy. We have knowledge about various trade relations with the people of Mesopotamia, Oman, Bahrain, etc. Next point, able to tease out social differences. This we can do on basis of burials which we have found. Then the third one is idea of how the civilization functioned. So this we have a bit idea of how the civilization functioned based on the uniformity of various artifacts, building material used, bricks used, drainage system. So this we all know what we have achieved with the archaeological works for so many decades. Now come to next paragraph, that is several reconstructions remain speculative at present. So there are many reconstructions which we don't have any knowledge about that, and we just try to guess. For example, what was the significance of the Great Bath? Then was there widespread literacy? What was the use of cemeteries? What was the condition of gender? Then what was the craft people doing? What was the use of these terracotta female figures? The Harappan civilization, now when people will be studying more and more about the Harappan civilization, new study will be coming out. Okay students, with this we come to the end of the chapter. Thank you very much.